GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered.
And that's MVS and Justin Watson.
With some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues.
If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up.
Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow,
comma, semicolon, period, next sentence.
to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man JRich.
Is that yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up with Ray
And Jay.
in the morning.
My God.
How good is
Dude.
he? How
so
good is GMGP? It is Monday, October 21st, 2024. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with me and my co-host JRich, and we appreciate each and every eye, each and every ear, stream, listen, replay, comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're glad you're tapped in with us. Week 7 of the 2024 NFL season almost in the books. We got 2 games on tap tonight and a lot of stuff happening in the sports world. Jay, I don't know. JRich, I don't know, because I know you're not a fan of the MLB, but I mean, there's a lot going on the diamond. We got women winning championships out of New York, and one of my teams here in Texas, well, not really one of my teams, but a Texas squad went down in spectacular fashion this past weekend. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. But what's popping with the squad, man? I see Jimbo in the building, Alex Florosaurus in the building. Jimbo, what's happening with you? Garrison, Hunter Joe Green. I see a lot of congratulations for old Hunter Joe, Jay. I must have missed it in the pre-chat, in the pre-show chat. You know, them crazies get in there early, man. But whatever it is, congratulations to you. Hunter, what's happening with you? Adam, Leo, Graphic 13 in the building, Smooth Criminal, my girl Joe, Michael Lewis, Adam. I saw my dog Richie in the building. And my boy Marcus Myers in the damn building. JRich, got a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. How are you this morning, my friend? How was your weekend, and how are you feeling following week 7 of NFL action?
Week 7 definitely took a toll on just about everybody, but we're here to focus on the positive. I'm surprised Marcus was able to show his face in the chat today, but shout out to you, Marcus, for getting here. We will
get him going with UT football right now. Don't do it, Jay. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But I'm very happy to be here. I hope you had a good weekend as well. As you mentioned, lots of sports going on right now. We have all the major sports ready to kick off once the NBA tips off tomorrow. But there is so much news. We have to get into it very soon. But I hope you had a great weekend and a great week to everyone this week.
Yeah, and before we get started, you know we got to get the housekeeping and pleasantries out of the way. So shout out to our partners, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code ALLGAS for up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And really, really important here in the month of October, the Crucial Catch Series brought to you by New Era Caps, the official cap of the NFL. Each hat from the Crucial Catch collection not only represents your favorite team in bold colors, but also promotes the prevention and early detection of cancer. Wear your colors proudly and help us tackle cancer head on with the official hat of Crucial Catch. Charitable contributions are awarded by the NFL Foundation to the American Cancer Society. You know, no matter what team you root for, cheer for, we can all universally come together and agree, F cancer. Go support. There's a link in the description. You get 10% off if you use the code in the description of this video. Make sure you tap into the DD Podcast Radio airwave feeds. Scott Connor dropped the show this morning talking about running backs and wins above replacement data. So make sure you pull up, check out Scott Connor, and shout out to the Dynasty Theory crew as well as Ty DeClaire and Shane Manila dropping content on the channel. So if you missed anything over the weekend, there was a lot going on. Make sure you pull back up. Check out the All Gas Trade Show. Check out Shane Says, and make sure you tapped in every Sunday for our starts and sits of the week, brought to you by Dynasty Theory. Jay, lot of news, some disappointing injury things that we have to go through. So we're not going to waste time. We're not going to play around in straight facts with JRich right now.
The biggest news in the world of sports. and brought to you by one man, Jordan Richards. This is Straight Facts.
All right, everybody. So there is a lot to get to with the injuries, but let's start off with the San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Ayuk, who was carted off the field, and Kyle Shanahan confirmed in his post-game presser that the team fears he tore his ACL. It did not look good on the field, and we are not expecting a good outcome from the MRI, which should come at some point today. Deebo Samuel was also out for the majority of the game. He was sick pregame and hardly played at all, only 4 snaps. Jaden Daniels also will get tests on his ribs today after he was held out of the game after taking a pretty bad hit against the Carolina Panthers. His mom came out on social media, said he's going to be fine, but they do have a big matchup against the Chicago Bears this week, so hopefully JD5 is ready and available for that one. It was mostly precautionary. He didn't come out in the second half, but still have to get the MRI to confirm that he's okay, and then he should be good to go for Sunday. Aiden O'Connell broke his thumb in the game this week as well, so he's going to be out for a few weeks, and we're probably going to see Gardner Minshew in full force for the foreseeable future. Not that it matters much for us in fantasy, but it sucks because he was getting the nod as the starter. Now he has a broken thumb, and we will see a lot of Gardner Minshew. Juju Smith-Schuster re-aggravated his hamstring injury Sunday and was ruled out quite early in this game, so it sucks if you're relying on Juju. We were pretty heavily invested on him, and of course, he ended up getting injured, so that looks bad, but nothing we can do about that. We have to move on, and hopefully he's going to be back this coming week. Probably one of the biggest injuries, depending on what team you're a fan of. Deshaun Watson ruptured his Achilles. It was very clear in video, and a lot of doctors confirmed it. He's going to be out for the season. Dorian Thompson-Robinson came in. He injured his finger, and then Jameis Winston was put in. We probably expect it to be Jameis Winston this week, but all the Browns have said is that it's going to be DTR as the backup, so it'll be interesting to see who they put in. It's funny they trade away Amari Cooper, and now Deshaun Watson is going to be out for the season. DTR going forward. It was good to have Nick Chubb back, even though he did look like he was coming back off a very serious injury. DK Metcalf suffered what looks to be an MCL injury. We don't know the severity quite yet. He came down very awkwardly, and his knee in particular torqued a certain way that it's not supposed to. So we are waiting on MRI confirmation as to what's going on with DK Metcalf and whether or not he will miss multiple weeks, a couple weeks, or potentially be back even this week. Tyler Huntley also suffered a shoulder injury, and based off our injury analyst Jeff Mueller's prognosis, he could be out a few weeks. So hopefully Tua is back for week 8, but if he's not, man, the Dolphins looked bad before. They may look even worse in week 8 if Tua is not going to be available because Huntley could be out this week. Sean McVay also confirmed, or didn't really confirm, but he expects Cooper Kupp to be back on Thursday. This makes a lot more sense now when you talk about him playing Sunday and now having a game on Thursday. Hold him out for the Sunday game, have him back on Thursday, but he is expected to play on Thursday against the Vikings. Dave Canales also said that they are committed to Andy Dalton in Carolina after losing 40-7, where Bryce Young once again got some mop-up reps in that game. I did not add this to the show sheet, Marcus. It was Ray. I wanted to say that because number 1 Texas went down to Georgia and Carson Beck. So Ewers was yanked early in the game, and then they brought in Arch Manning, and then they put back in Quinn Ewers. The 2025 quarterback class is not looking very good, and then Jalen Milroe also lost to Tennessee. Ray, it's looking more and more likely that he is going to be back in Alabama next season. Yeah, and then last but not least, the New York Liberty won their first WNBA championship last night in overtime. It was a long game. It was a grueling game, but they got the dub, and that's all that matters if you're a Liberty fan. And then the World Series is starting on Friday, and I'm very excited for it. Dodgers, Yankees, and don't talk to me about the Yankees because it's Dodgers season all day long. But Ray, how are you feeling about the news?
Question for you with that. What would have been the more riveting World Series matchup, Mets-Yankees, or is it the Dodgers-Yankees that we got?
So there is the storyline of the Subway Series World Series, which is appealing to people that live in one location, New York City. But for the majority of baseball people, this is like two villains fighting in the same. It's like, I don't know if this exists in like the Marvel or any type of universe, but like it's literally like two supervillains just fighting for the title because everyone hates the Yankees and everyone hates the Dodgers.
It's legit. So this is. Just so we know, Jay, this is a dope World Series matchup, right? Yankees.
I'm very excited
versus
for it.
The Dodgers. This is dope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. It should be good. As long as the Yankees pitching holds up and the Dodgers pitching holds up, it should be very, very good. Very, very good.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the injury stuff, and then I do want to touch on 2025 because it all coincides with one another. The JD5 injury, it looked like to me it happened on the long run. I don't know if you were watching this game, but it was his first carry of the game. He ripped off like close to a 50-yard run, and it was weird because it looked like he tried to slide. Like he could feel the defenders behind him, and he tried to slide, but it's like he got crunched up on, and then it was just all bad after that. Disappointing. You think that a team puts up 40 points versus an opponent, you walk away feeling great, excited, happy, and it's like, I want JD5 to be okay because we want to see that matchup between he and Caleb Williams next Sunday. I'm just going to ask the question, okay? I'm just asking the question. We know he played like shit and probably deserved to be pulled a long time ago. But did you have any problem with the Browns fans booing or cheering Watson's injury? And then the reaction from his teammates following the reaction of the crowd and the fans booing/cheering Deshaun Watson's, what I believe is going to be a very long recovery. Jay, I don't believe that he is going to rush this injury back. I don't think the Cleveland Browns are going to rush this injury back. Have we seen the last of Deshaun Watson as an NFL quarterback? That's my question to you. What are your thoughts on the reaction of the people towards this injury, and have we seen the last of Deshaun Watson in the NFL? And I'll just say this. I think this was a cheap way for Cleveland to go out. Like, I wanted them to have to eat this. This is the easy way. They could shelf him, put him away, not have to play him or talk about him again. He's not back from his Achilles. They're going to move on from him, whether that be the NFL draft or free agent, probably the draft. But this was the easy way out for Cleveland. Like, they got an easy out because he can go away and they'll probably just eat the dead money. I think this was an easy out for Watson in Cleveland or for Cleveland. But what are your thoughts on the reaction to Watson?
I mean, I think I get it from both sides. I'm not going to come up here and be politically correct and say, oh, yeah, the fans shouldn't have done that, because I get it, right? Like, passionate fans are reactionary. We come on this show every Monday and we overreact to everything that we just saw. Should they have cheered? Probably not. But at the same time, like, I get it. Even for fantasy purposes, which is literally a fake game, having Deshaun Watson on a team is easily the most aggravating, frustrating thing you've ever seen, because he just is so bad right now and they will not bench him. And so someone somewhere said, you know what? Enough is enough. And for whatever reason, Deshaun Watson's Achilles popped and he's probably never going to play for the Browns again. I do have a lot of respect for all of his teammates that came out and said, you know what? You can't do that. This is our brother. This is someone we see work every single day. Like, Jameis Winston obviously was a lot of people saw his speech. Like, you have to have a lot of respect for someone like that, going to defense of his teammates, because the whole world was against Deshaun Watson. We all know this for good reasons at some standpoint as well. But the reaction was probably a little bit overblown, but this is sports. This is passionate fans. This is overreactions. But I do respect his teammates coming to his defense as well. The question really, Ray, is does he play again? And the answer is probably not. And he's definitely not playing for the Browns ever again.
No,
there's just no way.
I think he's done in Cleveland. What is he, 29 years old? There was nothing that he put on tape to suggest that he should be back, should be a team starter.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I would have.
Do you think they can have an injury settlement here with this situation?
I wouldn't have thought that the Cleveland Browns would have given him a fully guaranteed contract dealing with the stuff that was going on during that time. And they made him the highest paid player in NFL history. So it's easy to sit here today on Monday, October 21st and say his career is done. He'll never get another snap. I don't know. And I'm not cheering for it. I have no stake in the fight one way or another. I just watched the reaction of his teammates, having played in the locker room and been around guys that I probably would not hang out with outside of the competition field, and just wanted to talk through the reaction of the crowd. I think you hit it very well on the head. Like, I can understand it from both sides. I can get it from a fan standpoint that you didn't really care for the guy, hadn't played well, probably deserved to be yanked a long time ago, and that didn't happen. I don't know, man. It was It was a weird situation that ultimately, again, I think Cleveland gets the easy road out. They paid him this deal, and now they're probably going to get out of it in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Does Watson play again? I would not count on it, Jay. And to that point, Cleveland right now, they're in the driver's seat, Jay, for the number 1 overall pick in 2025. I think the Patriots are right up there with that loss versus the Jaguars. I don't think the Giants are going to be in the number 1 pick category. Maybe the Raiders find themselves inside of that top 5. But when you look at Cleveland right now, and you do look at the college football landscape, look at what happened this past weekend. Quinn Ewers did not play well, Jay. He didn't play well. But on the other side of that contest, Carson Beck, in my opinion, was even worse than Quinn Ewers was. He was awful. And we talked about this going into this matchup. So you got 2 projected number 1, number 2, number 3 overall quarterbacks in the class, both looking like shit. I'm not a UT expert. I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, if I'm Texas, I wonder what the conversations are behind the scenes, because Quinn's the guy. Steve Stark keeps coming out and saying Quinn's the guy, but Arch ain't riding the bench for another year. So if Ewers doesn't declare, if Beck does come back, like, it's looking right now like Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, full stop. Jay, you look at this 25 class today, because I don't believe Garrett Nussmeier, who, he might be the QB1, but I don't think he's going to declare. I think LSU is going to pay him a bag to come back. His pressure to sack rate, it's unreal. The dude just does not get hit in the pocket. He's a surgeon. He would probably be the front runner for number 1 overall, but it's Shedeur and Cam Ward. And do you feel good about either of those quarterbacks landing in Carolina or Cleveland?
Absolutely not. You already have the issue of Shedeur and his father not wanting him to play in certain markets, which already complicates taking him at number 1, depending on which team you are. And if you're New England, I don't know if you'd want to go there. Carolina, Cleveland, and then the team you didn't mention, who's also only has 1 win, is Tennessee. So you already have that issue. And then Cam Ward, who has been very impressive at times, but for a player who, I comped a long time ago to Hendon Hooker, and in some ways Michael Penix Jr., right? Having that really high-end season, having to transfer and going to multiple locations to really make your mark in college football, that's kind of what Cam Ward is. He was out in the West for a long time. Now he's on the East Coast playing well. But because he is that late declare, I believe he's a 5th-year senior now, if he was really, really good, we probably would have seen him in the draft years ago to some extent. I think there's something to that, but there's also something to experience as well. We see that with Jaden Daniels. So I just don't think there's a clear-cut guy unless it's Shedeur. And I think the problem with Shedeur is that he wants to go to certain markets right now. And unless the Jets are trading up for him, where is he going to end up? And does he even want to play for any of these teams that currently only have 1 win?
Yeah, and Marcus said if Ewers isn't a first-round QB, you can't think that Beck is. I tweeted it out on Saturday night. He's not. I mean, we've been saying it on the show for a long time. He's not. He should not be in any first-round mock. I think today, if you were going to project the 2025 quarterbacks for a draft capital potential, it's Sanders, it's Ward, it's Garrett Nussmeier, who I don't even believe is going to declare. Hell to the no with Jalen Milroe. I like the athleticism. I like the physical tools. But no way. Absolutely not. That he is not a first-round caliber quarterback. Hell to the no. And character concern folks are going. I've already put them in the casket. If you come at me talking about character concerns with Shedeur Sanders, you can get the hell off this screen. Just close down, desubscribe, unsubscribe for the channel. Like, I'm not trying to hear anything about Shedeur and character concerns. Miss me with that. All right, Jay, we talked enough about the Cleveland Browns and their quarterback woes, which will continue throughout the season. Only start David Njoku from Cleveland. Let's get into some dope matchups. And one of the biggest games that we had on tap, you and I talked a lot about this one, Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. Detroit 31-29. Jared Goff absolutely did what I told you he was going to do to this Brian Flores defense. He diced them. He was efficient. 22 for 25, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jahmyr Gibbs went ham. He went off in this matchup looking explosive. You had St. Brown getting the action. Talk to me about the winning team, the Detroit Lions, who take over the number 1 seed in the NFC. Jared Goff, Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Dan Campbell getting it done.
Yeah, after what was a bit of a shaky start for the Lions, they really got it together, and Jared Goff's the big reason why. He missed very few throws. He's very accurate. He got sacked a couple times. Of the game, he was under control, he was on time, and most importantly, they were able to establish the running game. Jahmyr Gibbs on his 45-yard touchdown, that was the longest touchdown the Minnesota Vikings have given up all season on the ground, and then that helped supplement what they needed through the air. They used Amon-Ra a ton, they used the auxiliary receivers a little bit as well, but the best thing about the Detroit Lions, what we love about them, more importantly, they get their playmakers the ball. They don't mess around with Tim Patrick or Khalif Raymond too often. They get them in situations where they can succeed, but they lean on Amon-Ra, they lean on Gibbs and Montgomery, who did get a little bit banged up in the game, and Jared Goff ultimately carried them to the promised land. And, you know, in some ways, this was a great game from both sides. Minnesota played great as well, but I think Detroit played a little bit better, and especially on defense, they showed up, I think, better than some people probably expected.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs was awesome. So was Aaron Jones. And you talked about some of those ancillary weapons. They did get involved. Khalif Raymond scored. Tim Patrick was targeted quite a bit. It seemed like Jameson Williams, and he had one catch for negative yards, was the odd man out in this matchup. You talked about being a little bit nervous about Jameson Williams in this matchup when we talked about it on Friday. Monty did get banged up, but he came back in. What was crazy was Aaron Jones, who was limited like all damn week in practice, and we don't know, and they trade for Cam Akers. He went out there, and I think on his first damn touch, he houses the damn thing, looked explosive. Yeah. He had 5 15-plus mile-per-hour runs, which was number one in this game. He was moving. Aaron Jones looked good. Sam Darnold was fine, Jay. He was okay. You look at the box score, 22 for 27. Completion percentage was dope. But there was still there was just something there that just wasn't quite connecting. It didn't feel like things were going as well for the Vikings as it felt like things were going as good as it was for the Detroit Lions. Even though this was a close matchup, it definitely exceeded expectations. It went over the scoring total that it was projected for. And I think moving forward, I mean, you just continue to roll these guys out. Addison caught a deep pass in this matchup. Hopefully, TJ Hawkinson coming back will also open some things up for the Vikings. I thought this was a really good game, and most of the players, majority, I mean, Jefferson scored, Jones scored, Darnold didn't give you a 0. Everybody outside of Jameson Williams and David Montgomery pretty much got it done for you in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, if you actually watch the full game, for anyone who might have missed it, there was a lot of penalties in this game as well. You know, you talk about this game as a whole and Sam Darnold not looking overly good, and that was definitely the case. He was under a decent amount of pressure, which we kind of didn't really expect from Detroit with Aiden Hutchinson being out. They were still able to generate pressure and hurry the ball, and especially on the interception, if you watch that play back where he threw it to the right and Brian Branch undercut it, Aaron Jones is wide open on the other side of the field, begging for the ball, and Sam Darnold doesn't even look his way. But yeah, this is kind of my concern coming into the game with Darnold, is that he's been good, and once again, Minnesota got out to a 10-0 lead, and part of that was because Dan Campbell went for it on 4th down with the fake punt in his own end. But outside of that, you know, they came back, and I thought the Darnold did play well in the second half, which surprised me a little bit. But this team still needs a little bit more to overcome the fact that Sam Darnold is their quarterback. And it's kind of like you said, we don't really know what it is. We can't really put our finger on it, but it feels like Sam Darnold is the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings and not Kirk Cousins or maybe a slightly higher caliber quarterback that could take them to a higher
Forgot about Laporta too. Just completely nothing. It's
goosed.
Man, dude, isn't it isn't it wild?
Yeah, it was that bad for Laporta.
Just the tight end position this year is just, even when you think you've nailed the matchup, you think you've got everything right, it's just like nothing from the position. And we're going to go to another team where we had high hopes for this tight end. And if I told you that the projected wide receiver was going to miss the whole game, JRich, the whole game that we were excited about, everybody upset about Juju, well, goddamn it, his hamstring. There's nothing we can do about that. You know, those late injury ads, you play him if they're active and he goes out there and he does nothing. But if you told me that Juju Smith-Schuster was going to get hurt, I would have said Travis Kelce would have feasted in this matchup versus the 49ers. No doubt. Juju's out, Jay? Give me all the Travis Kelce I can handle. And, yeah, that was for naught, because Travis Kelce didn't do a damn thing in this matchup. The Chiefs, 28. The Niners, 18. The 49ers fall to 3-4. Jay, I will be on Bleacher Report tomorrow. Power rankings.
Okay.
Where do I put Kansas City? Are they number one? Are they the best team in the NFL? They're 6-0. Number one in the AFC. My question to you, are they the best team in the NFL?
I think they have to be the best team until they lose. They don't look the best.
Are they the
and their
best
games
team?
are ugly, but
I don't care about their win-loss record. You watch them play, are they the best team in the NFL?
yeah. They beat the Baltimore Ravens, so they're the best team in the NFL.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I think that's what it comes down to for this team.
This is NFL going down on us on the stream, Jay. What the hell is going on? They're the best team in the league? You said that and the whole thing shut down.
It's just
the
big thing, honestly, Ray, is the defense, man.
Jay.
The defense is so good. They picked Brock Purdy off 3 times in this game.
I know.
And to be fair, Brock Purdy was not good. He was missing his top 3 targets.
Both QBs were awful. Patrick Mahomes, I had him ranked outside the top 14 quarterbacks this week. 154, 2 interceptions. The best thing that he did was that run that he had and scored a rushing touchdown.
When he ran that dude over.
Kareem Hunt. Noah Gray led the way. It was 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field. Xavier Worthy had 8 targets, but we wanted to see his role change. Moving forward, how much confidence who do you have confidence starting on a week-to-week basis for the Kansas City Chiefs right now? Who do you have the confidence in starting?
Kareem Hunt. That's it. That's the list. Kelsey sucks. I mean, I guess maybe Juju if he's active, but now with the injury, I want to kind of wait and see. Mahomes, there's no way.
Yeah, what did we say about Juju after his game in which he had 20 points before they went on bye? We said enjoy him while you got him because the one truth about Juju is he will be hurt at some point. So enjoy the points. There's nobody that you can rely upon on a week-to-week basis. Now, you're probably going to start Travis Kelce every week. You're probably going to do it. You've got no other. Yeah. You're probably going to do it.
He's awful. He's terrible right now.
Let me ask you this. JT Sanders or Travis Kelce rest of the way?
So what's crazy is, of course, you brought up JT Sanders
or Travis Kelce the rest of the way.
Wasn't he like 6 for 67?
6
the
for
only
60?
Player that caught 2
he just
passes
broke the charts with those 12 points on the week.
His Trinity score is going to be off the charts this week.
Rewrote usage for the tight end position for 6 for 60, and that's what we're talking about against Kelce. It's Kareem Hunt. That's the answer. That's the only player I've got any confidence in starting. McCall Hardman scored. McCall Hardman was involved in the offense. Sky Moore got a catch. They're getting it done. It's a great team. And we're not talking about Patrick Mahomes, the player, because he is the best quarterback to do it. But right now, he is living in early Tom Brady era. These are the
Patriots.
He is living
no
when
fantasy
Tom Brady
assets,
was throwing
but
the
they
ball
win
to
every game.
David Patton, Troy Brown, cats like that. That is where he is at right now. Other side of the ball, you talk about Purdy being shit all you want. He's got nobody. At this point, it's Kyle Juszczyk, it's Jacob Cowing, and you're praying Kittle stays together. Debo hurt. Ayuk out for the season. Jennings hurt. Ricky Pearsall walking around like 50 Cent and Donald Trump. Shot up, many men trying to wish death upon him. He's on the field. 5 targets in this match. Mason didn't do shit.
Yeah, against the Chiefs defense. We talked about that though, right?
It's just crazy. What do you do with what do you do with the 49ers? And does Christian McCaffrey, does he even help at this point? Is this a lost season for San Francisco to where they just need to just shut him down? Ayuk is out. McCaffrey's Achilles are screwed up. They can't stop anybody. What do you do with the 49ers right now? Where does this season go for them?
I think it's very tough, right? They made the decision to go all in once again to pay Ayuk, to re-up Trent Williams. And now Ayuk is probably out for the year and potentially even into next season. It's a little bit as well with the ACL injury. At some point, McCaffrey's going to come back, and I think that is a big boost to the offense. And clearly, Brock Purdy needs Christian McCaffrey. Clearly, he is a massive part of their success. But we've talked about this as well. Brock Purdy's kind of going into his contract year right now, and this is where he potentially could make a lot of money. And if you're the 49ers, what do you do? Right? Do you look at this season and say, you have to go all in. You have to try and win every game. But now they're 3-4. Christian McCaffrey maybe can come back in November, so they say. Ayuk out for the year. Hopefully Jennings comes back because he's actually been pretty good for this team. You need Debo to be healthy. But the biggest issue for this team is still the defense. I can't believe that Robert Saleh is not working for the 49ers yet. Because if you look at what happened to the Jets defense, and granted they did lose some pieces on the back end, and what's going on with the 49ers right now, they have to figure it out on defense. Just as much as they have to figure it out on offense.
There's Purdy hate going on right now. This is unreal. Like, you know I love y'all, but y'all are out of your damn minds. I mean, he's throwing the ball to Jacob Cowing, Ricky Pearsall, Ronnie Bell, who forced an interception, Kyle Juszczyk, Chris Conley. What?
No respect for Chris Conley.
Is still playing. I mean, what?
It's tough. But this is the NFL, right? You can't always have all your playmakers available.
It's just hard to overcome in the league. When you don't have options, when you don't have bodies, it's hard to win. It's hard to, we play fantasy and we really primarily focus on one side of the ball. Offense, offense, offense. These defensive guys get paid hundreds of millions of dollars as well. And when you don't have guys to go get it, I don't care who you are at quarterback. Look at Mahomes. He ain't got shit either. And it's awful over on that side. And it's been bad for Mahomes since Tyreek Hill left Kansas City. We don't want to talk about it. We go look at everything outside of wins and winning Super Bowls, and you'll see that Mahomes has not been a great fantasy, locked and loaded, start him every single week quarterback for us. So to sit here and Purdy sucks, when you're throwing to Jacob Cowing and Isaac Guerrero and Kyle Juszczyk and Ronnie Bell, you're probably not going to look very good. Both of these teams, good for KC, number one, undefeated. They're winning. Their defense is strong. Kareem Hunt might be inefficient, but they're finding success on the ground. On the Niners side of the ball, Jay, I really don't know where this team goes this year. It just seems like from the start of the season, with McCaffrey not participating in training camp, Ayuk and all of his drama, the trading of Deebo Samuel, the holding out of Trent Williams, it's just been a very bad year for the San Francisco 49ers. Anything else you want to say about them before we take a quick break?
No, I think you hit all the points. They need to get these players back because they are inviting your Cowboys coming off the bye next week. And while we don't think that's going to be a competitive game because it's the Cowboys, it may be more competitive than people might realize, right?
Might be. You had two shit teams going up against one another. Somebody's got to win that thing. All right. Appreciate everybody being here. Got 900 in the building, halfway point. Y'all know what it is. Run up the likes. Comment below, subscribe to the channel. We'll be right back. Going to get into some Bijan Robinson versus those Seattle Seahawks. We got to talk about Russell Wilson cooking those New York Jets as well, and then some quick hitting notes from around the league and the games that we're not going to dive into deeply. Hit us up. We'll be right back. Right, appreciate everybody being in the building. We just wrapped up the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Jay, I want to talk about the Seattle Seahawks and the Atlanta Falcons, 34-14. This was another game where we were expecting fireworks, a lot of offensive explosion, points. Geno Smith trying to bounce back from what was a pedestrian birthday performance from him. Thought he played really well, 18 for 28, 207, 2 touchdowns. On the other side of the ball, Kirk Cousins not as good in this matchup. He did not play very well. 2 interceptions and really just could not get in a groove in this matchup. We got dominant performances from both running backs, Bijan Robinson and Kenneth Walker III, both delivered. K9 got it done on the ground, and he had a nice receiving touchdown over the shoulder in this matchup as well. DK Metcalf led the way, followed by Tyler Lockett and JSN, Mr. Empty Calorie Target Earner himself. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 3 for 9, but there might be some opportunity for him to step up with DK Metcalf nursing injury. Kyle Pitts back again. JRich, just to torment your dreams. 7 for 65, led the way. Drizzy Drake scored another touchdown. I believe this is 4 in his last 5 games. He scored a touchdown. Drake London getting it done. And Darnell Mooney, as Darnell Mooney normally is, usable if you had to flex him. What say you about this matchup, JRich? The Seahawks and the Falcons both 4-3 on the season. It's got Seattle as the 4th seed in the NFC. Talk to me. Fantasy takeaways from this matchup.
I actually don't think there's a whole lot, right? The biggest one really is Kirk Cousins, and kind of depending on how you feel about him, you wish he played a little bit better, but Bijan played very, very well, and people are going to talk about the touch load that he had this game. He got the majority of the touches, 24, I believe, touches in this game, 26 opportunities. Yeah, 80%. Much more than Algier. There was no split in this game. It was all Bijan, which is what we've been dying to see. And I think you look at that, and that's really the only thing there is to take away. Kenneth Walker played well. We expect him to play well. DK Metcalf was the number 1 target. We expect that. As you mentioned, JSN potentially can see more opportunities now if Metcalf misses time. Lockett runs ahead of JSN. If you were watching the show on Friday, you knew that, but people wanted to talk about, oh, Tyler Lockett's hurt, blah, blah, blah. Yep. What do you know? He played better than JSN. But yeah, Bijan getting heavily involved. Darnell Mooney still usable, even in a poor game. The question for you, Ray, is how do you feel about Kyle Pitts? Do you think he can be a top 6 tight end going forward with how bad tight end is, and he continues to get the ball consistently?
Yep. He's a part of the offense. Kirk Cousins is going to distribute the ball all over the place, and they didn't even play him the whole game. They pulled Cousins later. They started to ramp things back a little bit. Bijan was outstanding, and when you've got a dominant rushing attack like this, it opens up what Kirk Cousins wants to do, which is play action. The play action game, and Kyle Pitts, they're prioritizing him in this offense. He's like number 2. I'll be very interested to look at his usage versus Mooney's usage in this one, because Mooney is heavily involved. I think all 3 of those pass catchers are viable each and every week. Drake London is actually doing what we've wanted him to do the past 2 seasons now with Kirk Cousins. Again, I'm with you. I don't think there's a lot to take away. If DK Metcalf is out, I do think there will be more opportunity for JSN. If you weren't watching the game, he did get a very deep downfield target. If he would have caught it, probably would have been down at like the 1-yard line. It was like a 50-something yard bomb from Geno to JSN. It was good coverage, just couldn't connect. So he did get some downfield looks in this matchup, but more times than not, he's just getting a lot of empty calorie stuff where you look at the end of the day and you see the target share and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. But it also wasn't, he wasn't targeted and used in a way to score you a bunch of points like DK or Tyler Lockett. Anything else from this one, Jay, or do you want to move on to the Russell Wilson-led Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams-led Jets? They were going to get it done, man. This is a new day in New York, they said, JRich.
Yeah, they said that, but didn't really happen, did it, Ray? As the Pittsburgh Steelers beat down the New York Jets at home yesterday. I mean, the only thing you can say, Ray, and credit to Russell Wilson, man, I wasn't in. And I believe it was Brandon Marshall who, after the game at Mike Tomlin's press conference, said, hey, coach, so what was the decision to put in 3? And Mike Tomlin said, this is why I am highly compensated. And did he look good with this decision.
Mike Tomlin his just due today, because this is why he is an NFL head coach and we are not. All last week, people were like, I don't know about this move. Why would you pull Fields?
It's bold.
They're playing well. He's not playing that bad. You need to keep playing. We don't want Russell Wilson in. He can't play. Give it to Fields. Russell Wilson, 16 for 29, and it did not start off great. Started off a little shaky. I saw a lot of people, oh, man, bad decision, bad call. But as the game started to go on and you see him get in rhythm and flow, there was no doubt. The playbook looked totally different than when Justin Fields was at quarterback. They're throwing shit that you haven't seen Pittsburgh do since Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Ben Roethlisberger were a part of the offense. They were pushing the ball downfield. It unlocked George Pickens. He had a nice toss and grab to Pat Freiermuth in that one. Got Calvin Austin a target later. Darnell Washington, the big tight end, was involved early in this one. And it opened up the rushing game from both Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, who were both effective on the ground. Najee averaging 5 yards a carry. Talking about Mr. Inefficient. 5 yards a pop for Najee Harris. But Russell Wilson, he looked good in his first start. First game of the season, first start. First time we've actually seen him play this well in a very long time. I was very impressed by Russ. There's still some stuff to clean up. It was not a perfect outing. It was not just locked and loaded, but this was a different offense with Russell Wilson. The Pittsburgh Steelers definitely made the right decision on making the QB change.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they started with 3 straight 3-and-outs, and the Steelers fans were booing him off the field after that third 3-and-out. And then Russ went crazy basically after that. Second quarter into the second half, you look at this game as a whole. After the first quarter, we only put up 3 points, 10 points in the second, 10 points in the third, and 14 in the fourth for a Jets team that was shut out in the second half. Now, they were without DJ Reed, which shouldn't make a massive impact on the game. And then I don't know if Sauce... Well, it's just the Steelers don't have a wide receiver too, right?
Right.
There's
I get what you're saying.
Who is he really covering kind of thing? And then Sauce was on Pickens for the majority of the game. But the encouraging sign for people who own George Pickens on their teams, Russ trusted him. He knew that he's a guy that you can throw the ball up to and he can make a play. And there was times where he couldn't make it, but there was times where he could. And it showed multiple times throughout that game. Russ trusts George Pickens, led the way with 9 targets, 111 yards, and I believe was like wide receiver 5 on the week. So you look at that situation, and it's looking really good. This is where we talk about Arthur Smith. He just needs the right quarterback, and we always go back to the success he had with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is not a phenomenal quarterback, but he's great in play action and has a bit of mobility. Russ is kind of a similar mold. If he can get the ball down the field and be accurate, it's the reason why it's so much better than with Justin Fields at the helm. While Justin Fields is great in his own right individually for fantasy, you see the success that Russell Wilson brings to all the players on the team. The question really, Ray, is now what happens to the New York Jets?
Well, Aaron Rodgers got his wish. He got Davante Adams in, and he prioritized Davante Adams to the tune of 9 targets, which was tied with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. So we talked about the game script that we hope to see, right? We were like, hopefully they just target Wilson and Adams, and those are the 2 guys, and there's no Allen Lazard. Well, Lazard, target share went down significantly. He only had 4, but he converted all 4 for 58, enough to be a bugaboo for everybody else. Adams was 3 for 30, Garrett Wilson 5 for 61, and some untimely drops and issues with catching the football, which led to some interceptions from Aaron Rodgers. The problem with this team is they can't run the ball. Even with Breece Hall, you sit back and today we're like, oh, Breece Hall smashed for us in fantasy. Yeah, he did that through the air, 100 yards through the air. Breece Hall, the best receiver on the team. But on the ground, they cannot run the ball. They are not able to move anybody off the line of scrimmage. They're not able to open up holes. They're not able to create lanes for Braylon Allen or Breece Hall to run through. And they stopped effing around with Braylon Allen this week. It was all Breece Hall to the tune of 2.3 per carry. It was all Pittsburgh in this matchup. They were after the Jets early. Those turnovers doomed them. And the Jets are 2-5. Number 12 seed in the AFC right now. And as the Buffalo Bills are starting to surge, as the Miami Dolphins are about to return their starting quarterback and get some action back in there, this might be the nail in the coffin for the Jets season this year.
Yeah, the Jets are in big trouble. Now, thankfully for them, they go to New England this week, so maybe they can get on track a little bit against the Patriots. But yeah, this team is spiraling, and even with their schedule not being overly bad, Texans, Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jaguars, they have some winnable games in there, but this is a game where you need to be competitive. They've lost 4 straight. They brought in Davante Adams to kind of fix things, and it's not really working out. I just don't know where this team goes from here, because even with Breece Hall going for 100 yards, it was a lot of dump-offs and a lot of him just making ridiculous plays in the open field.
Where do they go, Jay? Like, what? I don't know any of the details around Adams' trade. If he's there for like 1 year, if he's there for 2, I don't know any of that.
I believe his contract is multi-year, right?
So they're going to run this thing back with Rodgers and Adams again next year?
For as long as they want to do, like, they are all in on Rodgers. And you look at this team, and this is where it's so concerning, right? They fire Robert Saleh because Rodgers doesn't like Saleh. Okay, sure. But now you have a situation where the defense doesn't look good either. And yeah, like DJ Reed didn't play, and I don't know if Sauce Gardner returned after he was banged up a little bit, but you can't allow 37 points to the Steelers. Yeah. Like, you can't do that and expect to win games. The Steelers aren't a bad team, but they're a team you maybe allow 28 to on a bad day. This is supposed to be one of the defenses that's one of the top 5 in the NFL and helping carry this team to the playoffs and hopefully further than that. But if the defense isn't playing well, the offense is already struggling, this team's going nowhere fast.
Jay, let me ask you a quick question. Let's do a little would you rather, okay? Can we do a little would you rather? And I don't know these dynasty streets like you do. I'm not in these streets like you are, Jay. Just want to do a little would you rather wide receiver edition. Do you think that in your leagues you can trade Brandon Ayuk and a 25 first for George Pickens, and would you do that?
I don't think you could do that, and I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't give up Ayuk and a first for Pickens, or you wouldn't move your Pickens for Ayuk and a first?
I would give up Ayuk and a first for Pickens.
Do you think you can get that done or no?
I don't think you're getting that done. I'd be pretty surprised if a Pickens owner would be willing to take all that production away just for a first.
Just for a first. I mean, the first for Pickens in any other week, it was just fine. So now it's different.
It depends on who you Pickens hive is strong. You know that. Pickens is one of those cult following guys.
Let's go to another hive that's strong. Let's go to another hive before we do some quick hitters, because I want to stay on this. I want to see what people would pay for Ayuk or try to get a first or sell one of these receivers. So let's go to Green Bay, Houston, 2 5-2 teams. The Green Bay Packers got it done 24-22. Jay, no one's really talking about how fucking bad C.J. Stroud has been this year. You talked about how difficult of a rushing matchup this was going to be for Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon did his thing. Did his thing. Where's it at? Bell cow Mixon. Blown up ankle and all. Just comes back, 100 yards, another 2 touchdowns. Catch the ball a couple of times, give you a little cheap points there. But C.J. Stroud, 86 yards, Jay. Scored less than Anthony Richardson on the week. Old C.J. Stroud. What are we doing with this Texans offense? And is this Nico not being here? Is this Mixon being back, which changes the identity of what they want to do offensively? Or is this the Green Bay defense was just that good that stymied C.J. Stroud to the tune of 86 yards?
I mean, I think it's multiple things, right? There's definitely some questions that I have for Bobby Slowick, right? When you look at this team, their identity was the passing game. We knew they needed a running game, and they definitely found that in Joe Mixon, but it shouldn't come at the expense of the passing game. You have Stephon Diggs, you have Tank Dell, who I believe had a goose the whole game. Stephon Diggs caught a couple passes but did relatively nothing. C.J. Stroud's completions and attempts were the same as today's date, Ray.
Yeah, man.
10,
y'all are
21.
Wild. Come on.
I mean, this dude didn't even have 100 yards. Now, granted, Joe Mixon scored 2 touchdowns, and that's going to happen. But CJ's been really bad, and I kind of subtly brought this up talking about Sam Darnold on Wednesday, how Sam Darnold's been awful in second halves. CJ Stroud's been just as bad in second halves as Sam Darnold's been. So this is where you look at this team and you say, what happened to this quarterback? I think there's a world where the Green Bay Packers said, we are not letting you pass the ball. And it worked out for them because their defense has been good against the run. Mixon did find some running lanes. And I think they kind of overcommitted to the pass to just keep everything under wraps against CJ. And I don't think that Bobby Slowick and CJ have adjusted to how they're playing this team differently. Nico is a massive factor here. But you can't be this bad through the air. But if you can run the ball effectively, I can't blame a team for doing that, right? So I think it goes both ways. Clearly, the running game was working. CJ wasn't that good, even though he made a couple of late throws that were pretty good. And the Green Bay Packers ultimately edged them out on a pretty great last drive from Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, and I'm looking at just some of the advanced numbers. I'm seeing no QB hits. Is this right? CJ Stroud wasn't sacked on the day?
He's still smart with the football, right? He's still a good quarterback. It's things are not opening up for him, right?
On the other side of the ball, can Jordan Love be both awesome and awful every week at the same time? I mean, he is
absolutely.
He is incredible. And then there'll be a couple of throws where you're just like, what are you doing, Jordan Love? One of those picks he had no business throwing. Zero business throwing the ball, but it doesn't matter. I don't care. I am willing to live with the interceptions because I know when he puts the ball on the money, I mean, he's just surgical. Dontavian Wicks, 3 for 48 touchdown. Tucker Kraft, 3 for 33 touchdown. Josh Jacobs, his first receiving touchdown of his NFL
career. Right?
of his career. He got
Crazy.
it done. Josh Jacobs, shout out to you. Good on the ground. Again, you look at the offensive production from this one. Outside of Romeo Doubs from the receiving stand, I mean, it's back-to-back weeks, Jay. It's back-to-back weeks where Romeo Doubs has been a consistent producer for them. Did not score a touchdown, but Jaden Reed and Christian Watson just completely non-factors in this matchup. And this is back-to-back weeks, and I talked about this with Josh Norris on Underdog. I've been a little concerned with how they're using Reed. They keep motioning him in the backfield, doing this orbit shit with him, and they're not giving him some of those wide receiver targets. I want some hitches. I want some outs. I want some downfield throws to Jaden Reed. I think this is whack-a-mole every single week with the receivers. You're praying you pick the right one. You're going to start them. Do I think what? I think it's
do you think Dobbs is kind of establishing himself as the one you want to trust weekly? It was Reed. And to be fair, that they didn't quite connect on what would have been a deep pass and maybe kind of saved his day a little bit. He wouldn't have scored, but it was that close. But now you have back-to-back touchdowns. Or touchdowns last week, he had 2, and then he led the team in targets pretty consistently.
Yeah, but this was his highest target output of the season. He had 10 this week, only 4 last week. So don't forget, scored 2 tutties, but he only had 4 targets last week, and then it was 8 in the game prior to that. He missed week 5. That was in week 4, and then 2 and 3 to start the season. I'm not sure. I'll just say that. I don't know what to make of the Dobbs, Wicks, Reed, Watson situation. I'm going to assume that all of their dots on the Trinity plot are probably pretty freaking close. Like, without even looking, I'm going to assume all of their usage and utilization are probably pretty close. But over this 2-week sample size, it does look like Romeo Doubs has usurped everybody as the primary target earner. But we'll see how this plays out as we move on through the season. Jay, what other games do you want to touch on quickly before we wrap? We got some quick hitters we need to get to.
Yeah, so we will start with Jacksonville, New England, which is played in London. Jacksonville did win and cover, so we were wrong on that. Now, to be fair to Drake May, he did play pretty well in this game, and I thought that he put on a good show.
Right now, I think he's QB3 on the week.
Yeah,
QB3
on the week, going to be top 5. I mean, when you're playing Jacksonville, good things typically happen. They did allow that special teams touchdown that ultimately stopped them from covering in this game. But Jacksonville, at least they got on the right track, right? And the question, Ray, and this is truly shocking to me. Brian Thomas Jr. was a receiver we were all over off season. If there was a wide receiver who's not, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., who was going to smash, it was going to be Brian Thomas Jr. He's wide receiver 10 on KTC. Yeah. Wide receiver 10, Ray.
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask you, would you rather Brian Thomas Jr. or Drake London?
Drake.
Would you rather Brian Thomas Jr. or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I saw that this morning.
Who plays tonight. And Marvin is still wide receiver 6, but I think this is probably the rest of the guys you're probably taking over Brian Thomas Jr. But Marv, though, not playing as well as BTJ right now.
There has been nobody on the BTJ train longer than me. I mean, this is a player that I was like, it's going to work. Look at the skill set. He's in an offense that wants this will work in Jacksonville. He's that caliber of a player. I still 1-for-1 would take Marvin Harrison Jr. 1-for-1 over Brian Thomas. But the fact that we're there with this question, so let me ask you this. Let me kick it back to you. BTJ or Roma Dunze right now, 1-for-1.
Oh, BTJ, easily. I like Roma Dunze, though. And once there's only 2 receivers there, it's going to be very good because Caleb is improving week over week. And I believe he was on bye this week, so coming off the bye, they should be pretty good as well.
And let me tell you, the biggest reason why I would still take Marv over Brian Thomas is because if some way, somehow, he goes out there and performs to BTJ's level, I'm not even going to say smash, just beat Brian Thomas, people will blow a load, and they'll be right back. Right? Think about in today's dynasty game how fragile value is. And let me just tell everybody out there something right now. Miss me on dynasty value. Like, miss me in talking about the player value outside of a couple. It's all fake. It's not real. the value changes like pissing in the wind, man. It's going all over the place, everywhere. Some of it might hit your lip, stomach, foot. It's going everywhere, right? Last week, when Brian Thomas Jr. didn't do anything and Gabe Davis scored the 2 touchdowns, we were too early crowning BTJ, yada, yada. 1 week later, right back up at the top. So I would still take Marv. I'm a big fan of Brian Thomas Jr. I think we are looking at another just silent assassin at the wide receiver position where you look up every year and you're like, damn, this dude's top 10 again, top 10. And it doesn't feel like it. He doesn't have that same swag, that cachet. He's not playing in one of these dope markets to really get some of those Malik Neighbors levels of photos for old BTJ. Yeah. But he's incredible. And I think right now he would be the 3rd rookie wide receiver off the board if we had to redo everything. And the question of Pop Douglas versus Juju, remember everybody giving us all that shit? It was neither. The answer was neither. I was not starting Pop Douglas. He didn't do a damn thing. I don't want to hear about being sick. He was on the field, in and out. He didn't do anything. Neither did Juju. Buffalo, Tennessee. Buffalo put foot in Tennessee. Amari Cooper scored. Keon Coleman at 120 yards. And you might look at the box score and think, man, Ray Davis had 5 for 40. He scored a touchdown. It was the last play of the game. It was all James Cook. Don't get it twisted. It was James Cook. Josh Allen still delivering. I mean, you look up and you're like, yeah, he doesn't really have this. Kincaid had a season high in yards and it was 50-something. Josh Allen, awesome. Incredible talent. Bill's side of the ball, Calvin Ridley, nothing with Mason Rudolph. Tony Pollard still looks fine. DeAndre Hopkins, negative receiving yards, just awful. Anything else from this game?
No. Do you think they go back to Will Levis next week, or do they stick with old Mason Rudolph?
Yes, probably Will Levis. All right, Miami at Indianapolis.
It's all you, baby.
The Colts got it done. JRich, there was a tweet out there that I don't know if you saw. There was a tweet out there from old GQ that said, if Anthony Richardson failed us, Jay, I'd be wearing a Dairy Queen uniform like old A-Rich. I said, if A-Rich stinks it up, I'll join him in that Dairy Queen uniform.
Be like old Trump at McDonald's.
I'll just say
10 for 24, 129.
I'll say
led the
this.
team in rushing, 56.
I'll say this, real talk, because this was my game, my assignment for old Underdog Fantasy. The stat line kind of didn't tell the truth. He started off rocky, but in that matchup, if you watched it, which y'all didn't because it was the Miami Dolphins, and they were awful as well, they started out trying to have him drop back, Jay, put his back foot on the ground and throw strikes. 2 3-and-outs. The third series, he's getting sacked. He throws a 50-yard dime to Alec Pierce on the sideline, down at the 1-yard line. Play got called back. Illegal formation. They would have scored. He played a lot better in the second half. Here's what's going to have to happen. They've got to run him. Once they started to do power RPO stuff, just running Anthony Richardson, he got down. He didn't take any big hits. Like, he started to open up, and even the announcers were like, okay, now he's getting in the rhythm. Right before half, hit Michael Pittman over the middle, 30-yard dime, drove a dig route over the middle of the field. Alec Pierce dropped another one in the same drive, but you saw the confidence starting to grow. Fantasy takeaways? No, you can't start any of the pass catchers while he's out there, but I will say he did play a lot better in the second half of that one. He's got to run the ball. Like, if you want him to stand back there and just throw, got to run the ball. And the one difference between Shane Steichen's offense with Jalen Hurts in 2022, when they were trying to figure out if Jalen Hurts was going to be the guy, the one thing that offense has that this one doesn't have outside of A.J. Brown is they didn't have they do not have an easy button for A-Rich. That year in 2022, when Jalen Hurts started his ascension, you know what his easy button was? The second best statistical career of Dallas Goedert's career was with Jalen Hurts in 2022. He had 702 receiving yards. I think he had his second highest reception output. They had an easy button for Jalen Hurts when shit hit the fan. There is no easy button for the Colts. It's nobody shallow. He's got to push the ball downfield, and it's kind of doing him a disservice, and Shane Steichen actually talked about that at the end of the game. On the other side of the ball, Achane and Raheem Mostert played really well in that matchup running the ball. Jonnu Smith looked good. That was about it. Erase everything from your memory with Tyreek and Waddle. They haven't even played football the past 5 weeks. With Tua coming back, I think we see a much improved Miami team.
Oh, was
Anything
it?
else?
Were you getting it to me? No.
Yeah. Anything
Four
else?
total targets for Waddle
you
and
didn't
Hill.
Watch it, so let's just go on to Philadelphia.
You know
and New
there's
York,
no
'cause
way.
You did not watch 1 second of that matchup, not even one. So we're not even going to ask you to comment on it. Philly versus New York. No Andrew Thomas, big problem for the Giants.
Yep.
I'm going to just say that. Do with that what you will. Those weeks in which Malik Neighbors smashed JRich, you know how many times Daniel Jones was getting sacked or pressured? Not many. 1
Probably
sack,
not many, yeah.
2 sacks, little pressures on Daniel Jones. This past Sunday, the Philadelphia defense hit him 7 times. 7 sacks for Daniel Jones, the highest
yards.
output on the season. No Andrew Thomas on the left side. The right side of that offensive line was wrecked. They had a weird split between Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary. If this offensive line is going to be under duress the way that it was on Sunday, this will impact Neighbors. Like, that was the biggest thing. The Neighbors' target share was Daniel Jones was under complete and total duress this game. There was nothing that they can do up front, and it wasn't even like Philly did a lot. Hurts had 114 passing yards. So they didn't just go out there and light them up. The big winner was Saquon Barkley, who dominated on the ground. He was incredible, Jay.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley definitely got his revenge against the Giants. Jalen Hurts did next to nothing outside of throwing a long bomb touchdown to A.J. Brown, which, again, surprise, surprise, A.J. Brown is the one player you can rely on each and every week for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts did rush 2 touchdowns, so that ended up saving his day a little bit. But yeah, the Giants, without a competent offensive line to save Daniel Jones, are as bad as advertised, right? You know, we kind of thought maybe with the form they've been in, they could play decently well in this game. At least that was my expectation. And it was completely wrecked by the fact their offensive line couldn't hold up. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. Jones was running all over the place, getting sacked like crazy. If this team plays like this, they won't beat anybody in the NFL right now. Do you want to talk about Washington, Carolina? We kind of already talked about the JD5 injury.
Quickly,
Marcus Mariota?
Mariota looked good. He came in
JD5.
and he operated the offense. Credit to Cliff Kingsbury. We talked about it last night on our recap show. I think Austin Eckler's production was simply he was a little banged up coming into the game. They got up by so much they didn't need the veteran running back getting hits. So I'm not worried about Austin Eckler. I thought B-Rob looked good coming back from his injury. McLaurin looked good as well. Almost scored. They tried to get him the ball towards the red zone, almost scored. And we'll see if JD5 is back. I think we really want to see him versus Caleb Williams and the Bears. That's like, just give us good matchups.
It's gonna be a
just
tough
give
game,
us
man.
a good matchup. We already touched on Cincy Cleveland at the beginning from an injury standpoint, but T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, just any concern
Good enough.
about though Jamar Chase in particular, he scored again, which saved us, but Higgins is very much involved in this offense, Jay. Is this lowering some of that elite outcome ceiling that Chase has or not? What are your thoughts?
I think in a lot of ways you kind of watch this game, and the Bengals just played to win the game. They didn't play to blow them out. They didn't play to do anything crazy. They just kind of, once Deshaun Watson got hurt, they just tried to kind of survive and tread water.
Yeah.
And the Cleveland Browns still have a good defense, so they're just trying to protect the ball, not make mistakes, especially when DTR is making mistakes on the other side. And so in a lot of ways for me, that's where you look at this team and you say Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to be just fine. And overall, I think the bigger thing for me is that you look at Chase and it's just like him and Higgins are kind of being fine right now. But overall, I'm not too concerned. I think they just kind of did their thing and didn't have to do a whole lot to win this game.
Yep, I am with you, Jay. And we did not talk about Tank Bigsby quickly from the Jaguars. Tank Bigsby looked really good. He looked good. 26 carries, helped salt the game away. Bigsby looked damn good. Let's wrap up with the preview of Baltimore, Tampa Bay. I see you got activity in the bag, Jay, but we're wrapping this bad boy up. Baltimore, Tampa Bay tonight, as well as the Chargers and the Cardinals, 9 p.m. Eastern. Ugh, Chargers, Cardinals. We got Marv back.
Ridiculous,
I'm just excited. Let me just say this. Excited for Baltimore, Tampa Bay. I think both of these quarterbacks, Baker and Lamar, can have success versus one another. Zay Flowers, very excited to see him work, and it looks like Mike Evans is game time decision tonight, or is Mike Evans
he said
playing?
I believe he said he's going to play.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly, Friday's practice was a bit of an issue for him, and I don't think he got a full practice in, but he's still expected to play, and I believe he also commented saying he's going to be playing in this game. So I wouldn't worry about Evans, but I mean, if you are, there's not anything you can do. Like, you go pick up Sterling Shepard off waivers, and that's about it. But yeah, with this game, especially the Arizona game being 9 o'clock, that I'm honestly probably not even going to watch it because that's going to be a brutal game. But I'm excited for Tampa Bay and Baltimore.
Here goes some big-time things just in case. Vita Vea, big defensive tackle, is full go for the game tonight. Rashad White and Trey Palmer will be playing. So it looks like Rashad White and Trey Palmer, along with Vita Vea, will be playing. So if you had expectations for Sean Tucker or Bucky Irving, we're about to see the hot hand, three-headed RB committee approach play out in full force tonight. Just kind of monitor that. It looks like Rashad White is playing in this matchup. So temper those Sean Tucker and potentially Bucky White expectations in this matchup. Jay, it's a wild week 7. This NFL season, we say it every year, but this one feels a little different. This one feels quite different. And I think the college game paired with the NFL, there's a lot we're going to talk about on Wednesday. There's a lot of just kind of final thoughts and takeaways, so make sure you tap in on Wednesday. I will be doing a mock Monday today, so if you want some 2025 NFL draft content, we'll be recording some stuff. I think I'm just going to talk about the QB class, some potential fits in the NFL, some things that we're seeing from a mock draft standpoint, and really talk about what this quarterback spot is going to look like for us here coming up, because I know some trade deadlines are happening in dynasty leagues. We've got the NBA coming back this week, so we've got more stuff to talk about, more bets to talk through. But Jay, anything you want to say coming out of week 7? The people woke up with us this morning. We got 1,300 watching us across all platforms. Anything you want to say to the folks before we get out of here?
I think just watch the game tonight between Tampa and Baltimore, because for everything I didn't think Tampa was, they definitely showed a lot the last few weeks and kind of the way they bounced back from that Atlanta loss. And so I think there's a lot of good things that are coming for this team, and especially when the strength of this team is the passing game. And so you can say, oh yeah, I want to see the backfield splits. Like, you should expect literally nothing against this Baltimore Ravens defense that is one of the best in the NFL stopping the run. It's how does Baker play against this pass defense that at times has been very beatable. And so if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are healthy, let's see what Baker can do. And obviously on the other end, what does Lamar do? And we fully expect them to have a great game. So I'm just excited to watch this game. I think it's going to be a really, really good game, and hopefully it delivers with a lot of points, but definitely watch this game because it's a big matchup between two teams that are playing pretty good football right now.
Man, hit the music, man. Now, see, at the end of the show, this is when our people just like to talk. They just like to poke fun at me, at you, at everybody. I see Daniel Gafford trending. I saw somebody say good take about Rich Ray, but you still owe me ice cream cakes. Dress up in your Dairy Queen outfit. Y'all get on my damn nerves, but we love you. We appreciate you being in the building. Make sure you tap into everything that we're doing on the YouTube channel, the podcast airways feeds, and we'll be back on Wednesday. So wake y'all asses up. Check out the rookie content on the channel tonight, and Dynasty Theory dropping tomorrow. Y'all have a fantastic Monday. Make it great. Enjoy both Monday night games, and we'll see you on Wednesday. We out. Peace.